Alright, this is going to be about my experience in some detail of shape-shifting garbage cans, skinwalkers, whatever you want to call them. Basically, really how I like to define them is shape-shifting garbage cans. I mean, that says it all. They are shape-shifting garbage cans. Once you see them, or at least this aspect of them, that's really about the most appropriate words I can think of to use for them. Now, I'm going to cover a couple other things too, and some of you have probably heard some of this before. If you have, there's some other stuff in here you probably haven't heard. But I want to start this out with the whole robot thing. They're really pushing that, okay? And I'm going to continue to tell everyone this. Whatever they're pushing on the table is not what is on the table. That's the look this way, look that way thing. You know, robots are taking over. They've got millions, if not billions of them that are going to be walking the streets. Are they walking with us already? Have they always been here? No. Do they have the capabilities to build things that kind of act like us or can move around some and put some skin stuff on them? Yes. But they want to make sure you know that, okay? They want to make sure you know that. That's why it's pushed all over the place, especially on TikTok. It's a cover-up. It's what they put on the table is not what is really on the table. They need everyone to think there's a bunch of robots going to take over, or, you know, old Joe at the grocery store might be a robot, or he's been one for the last 50 years, or whoever. Everywhere there could be robots. No, it is a cover-up job. They need you to look the other way because you will not focus and use your eyes on what is literally in front of every human out here. Okay, the non-humans are right in front of you. And that's a fact. You just have to understand a few things to start grasping this. There's the what's it called? Anamorphic art, okay? Look into that. Anamorphic art. It has been around forever, and it's how they have gotten away with not being seen as well, okay? You have to keep in mind that we look vertical and horizontal. We look at a crosshair section of things in our life. Everything you look at, you're looking at it that way. Everyone does. Even if you look at the side of a roof that has an angle, you're still encompassing only a vertical and horizontal view. They hide within all the other angles of that. They are the fallen angels. The fallen angels are definitely in the fallen angles, in plain sight, because you do not hone in on that. You can't. Unless you let yourself know that you can and start doing it, then you'll see them. Now, as far as what I've seen, I'll bring up a couple areas that I've seen. In Hawaii, in Chinatown, and it was probably just a little in the afternoon. It was bright daylight. I was sitting at the bus stop, and across the street, Chinatown there is very small. There's another bus stop, and the bus pulls up there. And it lets everybody out, and the bus pulls away, and all the people are standing there and starting to disperse. But there's a crowd of them. There's probably 70, 80, maybe a little more people. And in the middle of this group of people that got off the bus was a very tall man in a suit, tie, well-dressed, briefcase, and he was very tall. He was probably at least 7 foot, probably a little taller. And everyone in the bus was, as it is in Hawaii, short. Filipinos, Thai, Korean, Chinese, pretty much short people there. About like myself. As the crowd was there, getting ready to move, he was in the middle of this crowd, and he stopped, and they had to walk around him, and he looked over at me across the street, which was about probably no more than maybe 70 feet. And he looked right at me. And instantly, we were face to face, okay? And then he went back into the crowd, but I could still see him staring at me, but his face kept coming in at my face, superimposing, like really close. And he yelled and said, "I hate these humanoids," as he kind of put his arm out and pointed at him, the crowd he was in. And he knew I was there. I mean, when he yelled, it was very strange because he was right in my face, which was impossible. But he didn't open his mouth, and it was so loud inside my head I could never even describe how loud it was. It was inside my head that he let me know that he hates humanoids. Okay? Now, as far as him shape-shifting, he was doing some of that back and forth with me just with his appearance at that point. Before it was all said and done, I saw what was probably would be considered a handsome person, well-dressed and all that, right? Standing there staring at me, and just for a few seconds, he was more like a very gaunt, just, horrifying something to look at, kind of like skin stretched over 2x4s. With no clothes, okay? But went back to the clothing thing. And then this person was not American, not Asian. It was kind of dark, maybe kind of like Tiger Woods. And that's nothing against anyone of color. I don't judge anyone by the color. You judge them by the color of their heart. So this was a shape-shifting garbage can, 100%. And he let me know, and as soon as he got off the bus, he knew I was there, across the street. And he let me know. Now another time, this has been in Indiana on quite a few occasions. And let me start off with this. I've seen people in heightened states of happiness, mostly happiness, okay? And I've also seen it in people that were just junk, dirt bag people were getting excited and mean and just more worse than they were to begin with in front of me. I saw one person that was very thrilled and happy. And this lasted for at least 5 seconds or more. I mean, I had a chance to actually look. What's odd about this is I don't believe they knew it happened. Okay, I believe there's a tainting of the bloodline that is here, that is seen at certain levels of energy being and flowing through a person or persons. This person turned, their skin was, and it wasn't gross, but of course it was disturbing. It had more of a salamander skin, no scales, and it was slick. It was not slimy in a bad way, and the skin was white still, but it had like leopard stripes within the skin. And when they looked over at me, I could tell that they didn't know that was appearing. Or maybe they didn't know I knew, okay? It could be that way too. And the eyes were different. But the eyes were not menacing. They were not dark. And the appearance when that happened in that person, it was nothing that was scary. It was definitely alarming, right? But it wasn't like there was horns and scales and fire shooting out of this person's ears or anything. That's one area I've seen this in. Now, as far as people that I have met here and there that were just scumbag people, okay? I mean, we've got them out there. We all know this. And they need prayer. Now, those I have seen in their moments of whatever they're doing. And they usually only last about 5 seconds, maybe 10 seconds, or a little more, a little less. I can see them change into literally and it's usually always for me is like skin stretched over a gaunt rack of bones. Like it's something that's not really alive. Like it's something that probably had been gone for a long time. Those are very disturbing, some of those I've seen. It's as demonic as you could imagine. It's doesn't really have a human face so much. It's more of the almost pointed ears, and the nose is all hooked, and the eyes look evil and dark. And yeah, I've seen quite a bit of that over the years. But as far as someone actually changing all the way over to something, it's been a little while since I've seen that. But if you want to see it all the time and want to recognize it, it is on your phone 24 hours a day. Let me see if I can help you understand this. Hold on just a second. Because that anamorphic art that I mentioned, it's very important to understand that. You know, anamorphic, I hope I'm pronouncing that right. I think so. That kind of art, let me explain it like this. Now, there's multitudes of this art, okay? I'm going to explain one option of it. If you were to draw a picture, let's say it was a face, and you went through and erased every inch, like in a grid pattern, and only part of it was there. Only in one direction, this grid, okay? And then in between that, you filled it in with whatever you want. Maybe it was a landscape or flowers, I don't know, whatever, right? You won't see that face when you're looking straight on at it. If you turn it at an angle, okay, where you can barely see it looking down the edge of it, where it has been erased, those will come together and create the face that is meant to be seen but is hidden, because it's in the fallen angles. It's the fallen angels are in the fallen angles. We look vertical and horizontal. They know this, okay? They hide in plain sight. Now when I say watch YouTube, see, now this is where I'm going to have to dance around the details a little bit, and I already have through this entire audio, by the way. I know how much I can and can't say at this point, so if you want more information, email me. I'll leave it in the comments. So if you understand this anamorphic art, they are that, okay? They are that. You're looking at them straight on, okay? And if you look at them from an angle at all, rarely you will see any of them at an angle, okay? They make sure they're at a podium looking straight at you. Turn your phone sideways, okay? You're just barely going to be looking down the edge of it. Now, from what viewpoint is a big deal, what vantage viewpoint that they have taken so that they can be hidden is another thing. But the face you see talking at you, like on the heads of state, by the way, they call them heads of state because each one of them has many heads on top of one head. They are legion. It's not just one demon making that body up. Everything on them is a conglomeration and collage effect, making the ones that you think you see. All of these evil elites, you're not really seeing. That's just their components to make that up. Their legion has to form that. And there's another thing involved there too. The reason they look different a lot of times, and they're pushing this on everybody, oh, you know, this actor's playing this guy, and, well, this is a mask, or, you know, oh, look, we caught Biden itching his neck and it's full of wrinkles. They want you to see that. Who do you think took that video? That's another cover-up job. Why? Why do you think they would cover that up? They want people to think they're wearing masks. Do they make masks that are very real? Absolutely. Do they use them out here on us? Yes. Are the shape-shifting garbage cans using them? No. Why? Because depending on the energy level that they are involved in at that time, like a Trump, or let's stick with him. Let's stick with that shape-shifting garbage can. He looks very different at times, okay? Like very different. That's because the energy level that they have causes them to be to that heightened view of what people see them as, or it might be altered a little bit. That whole conglomeration thing I'm talking about, where they come together and form a person to make people think that there's a person there when there's not. There's a legion causing that effect. Depends on the energy level. So sometimes it's altered, it's higher energy, maybe it's a little off. They haven't got quite enough to finish out the arm, or maybe the face is not morphing in right. The energy level's not all the way advanced in that moment. That's why they want you to see masks and glitches on purpose. Stuff like, you know, Biden itching his neck and there's like a big pile of wrinkles that is impossible inside a room with Biden. I mean, who do you think's taking that? We have to wake up on that. Whatever's on the table is not on the table. Whatever you're being pushed at, you need to start looking the other way and figuring out why are you being shown all these things, because it will be the exact opposite meaning of that is really going on. Anamorphic art, they are that. Okay, that's how they exist in plain sight. The face you see speaking to you on these podiums straight on, that's how they'll always do it, so you're focused in on their front face. If you pay attention and don't look at that face, you will see that it's in plain sight, okay? They are heads of state. Each one of them has many heads on the one head. Even down to the fingers, the hair, everything is a legion, okay? They really make their faces known when they're talking, right? They have to. Or they'll make you look at the hands, the hand symbols. Because they don't want you figuring out that they're continually morphing right in front of you. They live, the glasses on that are real, okay, 100%. But you also don't need the glasses as well. You just have to understand that you cannot continually just think that this world is horizontal and vertical. There are countless angles involved where you don't look at. You know, even if you turn your head sideways right now and look at something, your eyes level out. You're still looking horizontal and vertical. They know that. They've always known that. How many of you ever lived somewhere where there's snakes? You know, it's nothing for a copperhead rattlesnake to be curled up on something, and you go to open the door, maybe a chain link fence, and it'd be curled up right in there, and you almost grab it. These things know how to hide in plain sight, and they have been here the whole time. And yes, they want you to think about robots. 100%, that's going to be pushed all the way. Now, do they have drones? Yeah. I'm not saying they don't have some of these things going on. But their control is, and the only way they can control this place is if they hide. Because once you see them, you will be so disgusted. You will understand why they hide. You talk about cursed. The appearance alone, the misshapen, disgusting, vile, putrid, positionings of their faces and their mouths and the things that are on them and what makes up their body. Just like in the Bible, the man, how many are you? He said, we're legion. They really are a shape-shifting garbage can. If you could picture a garbage can full of the most vile, disgusting things you could ever imagine, and then dumping that out, and then creating a body out of it, okay? They're very hideous. A lot of people lean towards, the fallen angels being beauty and beautiful. Well, they were maybe. They're not now, okay? But as far as, I haven't seen any grays, I haven't seen any aliens. I have at times seen some things that definitely look insectoid or reptilian, okay? When I say insectoid, have more of an insect look to them. And I can't really go much further on this than what I have. But if you can understand anamorphic art, you will understand this world. In fact, anamorphic art will let you understand how our language, every language, the letters, the numbers, are nothing more than that too. Like a letter G, our letters they gave us are them encapsulating the real letter many times. Okay, I probably won't get into that here. That'll take a little too long, but this place is a complete lie, top to bottom. There's nothing here that is not tainted. There's nothing here that doesn't have the mark of the beast on it. There's nothing here that hasn't had the mark of the beast on it for thousands of years, and I can prove that all day long, everywhere. Everything here has been tainted, okay? You're not waiting for the mark of the beast to come along. You've been using it, and it's been put on us, and it's everywhere. There's nothing they haven't tainted it with. And when the mark of the beast comes along in the manner that people think it's going to, which it's already here and has been, okay? When it gets to the point to where they're saying, okay, you have to take this, or you can't buy any food, you can't work, that will not be a 3-6 layout. It will be something that adds up to that, or it will be something that morphs into that because of an anamorphic value set to it from a certain vantage point. Because we look people straight on, okay? If you can remember that, this world is vertical and horizontal to us. That's what our eyes do. And they hide within all the circumference of that, okay? Everything you view. And also, the devil is in the details, okay? When you look at a forest, you can't see the tree, right? That's what they do as well. That's what they are. That's how they hide. That's how they've always hidden. Are they here everywhere? Absolutely. They're at least 50% of the population here, I believe. But I would not fall for this robot thing. It's no different than all the other things they put on the table, like chemtrails. If people would understand that alone, and yes, there's stuff in that, and it's falling down on us. We're breathing it, nanoparticulates, and God only knows what. But do you understand? They wanted to make sure you saw those big white stripes, and that they spread out and turned it into hideous clouds that look demonic. It could have been done and not be seen, okay? They didn't have to make it white. It's not about blocking the sun. That's to help, put the Band-Aid over the bullet hole again. Look what's on the table kind of thing, but that's not what really is on the table. After those chemtrails spread out and start looking nasty, you can already see some faces in there, but what they don't want you to know is if you put a mirror on that anywhere in the fallen angles, you will see written spells, very legible, and you will see real demons and deities. It won't be a stretch of your imagination. Oh, that looks like a monster or a devil in the sky. No, they're really there. Why? They sprayed all that to make sure everybody would give their energy up there and talk about it, the chemtrails, and they're bad, and they're still doing it, what are we going to do? Because your energy goes there, and you don't understand that you're giving your energy to demons that are literally above you, okay? And when I say you give your energy to them, it's unknowingly. Of course, you're not like willingly wanting to give your energy to them, but you don't know to rebuke what's really up there. For one problem, they don't want you to do that. Those skies aren't just, you know, once they spread out, a lot of people are starting to catch on to it with their own eyes that, hey, that looks like a devil up there, that looks like this. Put a screenshot on it and put a mirror on it anywhere you want, and really let your eyes and mind focus in, and you'll see why they want you to think it's chemtrails blocking the sun. If humanity even knew what was going on with that, they would lose their minds. This place would melt down. But they have to hide these things. And I'm going to say it one more time. Whatever is on the table, whatever is being pushed at you, robots, chemtrails, data centers, whatever they're telling you about those things is not what those things are really there for.